So what is the future? Is it going to be high streets? Is it going to be shopping centers? Is it going to coexist? Uh, Peayush ji.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So, as Uddhav, I've already touched points about the future of high streets as compared to the mall. So, I would say that high streets have their own future and the malls have their own future because uh, high streets are more a neighborhood market, right? And malls can be, it depends upon the scale of mall, it depends upon the size of mall, it depends upon the demographics of the mall, that how much it has a potential to catch people from maybe far off places. But yes, I'm sure that high street would not be that much eligible to catch people from far off places. So yes, in today's time, high streets have been more popular because of a very important reason that obviously the common area maintenance charges in high streets are relatively very less as compared to the malls. So I could see many brands which are approaching high street markets because of saving on to the OPEX, because CAM contributes to the major expenses they need to bear upon. So I think high street would work in their own pace, and yes, malls, destination malls would definitely work on.
So from what I understand, you're saying high streets work more localized for localized markets with lower cost, and
Yeah.
malls for larger destination malls where you can attract traffic and footfall from far away places.
Yeah, definitely, because I believe that if the mall is not of a particular scale, it is not able to drive that footfall. And at the same time, depending upon the size of the mall, it's very important to have a proper tenant mix or the occupant mix in the mall, which should have all the components like multiplexes, entertainment zone, restaurants, and other retailers, including anchors.
Thank you. Anybody? Yeah.
I'd like to just, sorry,
Yeah.
I'd like to add is that for high street, I think what really happens is that when people go to high street, it's a very planned shopping, that they go for. So they'll go to a particular brand or they want to, just maybe a couple of brands. But when they come to a mall, I think they might be coming not only as a planned shopping, but as a visit, with the family, etc. So they, it can also be unplanned. It can be something that we'll go there and see what will happen. So I think both have a very distinct nature of what sort of consumers they pull towards them. So I do agree with him that they tend to be more neighborhood in the sense that within a certain kilometer radius, whereas mall has the ability to attract people from a larger catchment. The other part is that no single strategy works for any brand. I think having a combination of mall presence and high street presence sort of in a way solidifies their consumer base, because initially if there's a new brand, they might want to be in the mall first, because mall has the ability of attracting a larger footfall. They're already brands which are very their presence is already there. So because of them, people come to the mall, and then you can take advantage of the fact that they're coming for other brands and show your presence. Right. Whereas in high street, you have to spend on your marketing, attract that footfall. So both have their own distinct reasons for being there. But I feel initially for a brand, if it's a new brand, I think a mall might work better than a high street.
Thank you. Aman, you want to say something?
Yeah. So, hi, good afternoon. So, I beg to differ a little here because, we've been running a very successful high street market. And there have been, good brands, new brands who've also come in and they've done really well. It's actually depends a lot on the location as well. So, even though, I understand that malls offer, an experience which is air conditioned, it's indoor, and people like to go indoors, and there are sizes. It depends on the sizes of the mall as well. So if it's a small mall, which is an indoor mall, might do really well, might not do really well. But a big size mall, a destination mall, definitely it's a much preferred destination for people who are going for shopping, because again, they're just not going only for shopping, but they're going for various different things. As far as the high street is concerned, in a high street, there are multiple things that can, are like a mall itself. It's not like, it's any different from a mall. The only thing is that it's not air conditioned. That's the only difference.
Sorry, Aman, I just want to say that I didn't want to compare a mall which is open mall. I'm not talking about pure high street.
We are talking about pure traditional high street.
Pure traditional high
street.
street.
Okay, so traditional high streets definitely that's a different category now. So I think we were talking about the high streets that are being built now are being built in the form of neighborhood shopping malls and those kinds. So they're attracting good brands as well. It depends on how the developer is taking it forward, because if you're doing a purely strata sale model, it's very difficult to lease out the place. But when you're doing a leasing model and you're concentrating on the brands that you're getting in, definitely you can do really wonders with the footfall also. And I believe with a small 3.5 lakh or 4 lakh square feet, you can get a good footfall. Like we get a good footfall in our mall because of the reason that we have all good brands, and because we are in a leasing model, we take care of that ourselves. So it totally depends on how the developer wants to take it forward. And I believe in air-conditioned malls as well. We are building another one where we want to build an air-conditioned mall only because of the reason, specifically because of the weather in Delhi NCR. The weather in Delhi NCR, it's a little unpredictable, and definitely we face challenges in high street where the weather conditions have become sometimes really bad, sometimes really good. The weather is good, people want to be out. The weather is it's raining or it's storm or it's too hot, then of course people want to be indoors. I mean, if anybody else has something
I think
to say.
that Harji, my next question is to you. This is related to cinemas and multiplexes. Cinemas were the main anchors for malls, getting the highest footfalls, and they were highly dependent on cinemas for getting footfall. Now, after COVID, the situation has changed quite a bit. So there are two questions. How do malls now factor in that entertainment aspect, or what do they do to bring the footfalls on the weekends? Number two, what about the malls which have built large multiplex spaces? What do they do with the spaces? Because the operator might not want a 10-screen cinema or a 8-screen or a 6-screen cinema. So there are two questions, if you can help us with that.
Good afternoon. First of all, it's true that cinemas are not doing so good as they were doing before COVID. But I will say that it's not like that. The cinema will come back, I'm sure. There are few, you can say, gap between the 23, 24, where the Hollywood movie was not making, and Bollywood movie are also uncertain. So I'm sure cinema will come back. But on the other side, there are other means also. It's not necessary that you should have 10 screen or 12 screen cinema. So first of all, you can have some entertainment formats, different formats. Like we have one in Vegas Mall, we have Laugh Store. The Laugh Store is attracting much better footfall than a cinema. So you can have different type of entertainment, different type of, you can say, uses also. On the other side, you can convert some of the screen into a different use also. Like what we did in this our new upcoming mall, we planned for 10 screen cinema. But during the last 1.5 years, we realized that cinema will not survive for 10 screen, particularly in Delhi where the Hindi cinema is more important. There is no Kannada or Telugu cinema. So what we did, we converted 4 screen into the 8 restaurants. So there are 4 restaurants on the lower level, and the upper level are 4 lounges, like Imperfecto, like Social, like something like that. So those 8 restaurants bring more footfall, more variety in the mall instead of having 10 screens. So those 4 screens reduced also increases the occupancy of the other 6, and also brings many people for the restaurant and F&B also. So there are many other ways also. Now entertainments are coming in a different way. Like we have, earlier we have one entertainment only. Now there are entertainment for kids, entertainment for teens, entertainment for family. There are many ways of entertainment. So cinema will be there, cinema will exist, but of course we should focus on the number of screens. Decreasing the number of screens is a good idea, and convert them into a different uses. That will be much more better.
Thank you. Anybody else? Piyush, I think you also have some experience.
Yeah, actually, I would also add on to what Harji said, and he's right saying so, because nowadays cinemas are not doing, I will not say not doing well, it is a content-based business. So obviously when the content is good and, you see cinemas flourishing with people coming to the malls, But again, if the content is not good, then it is bad for the malls. But having said that, yes, having 10 screens, 12 screens, I think those days have gone. And we should have a reasonable number of screens which can actually run optimally. At the same time, the different uses can be put to these cinema or these screens. One, you can say that you can make an entertainment zone or a brewery, because it's good that cinemas are built to have good height, and we can have a slab in between and put it to many uses, be it entertainment, be it restaurant, be it brewery, be it bar. So I think that would be a good idea.
Thank you. Anybody would like to add? I mean, you have a
I
few
think-
malls running.
yeah. So I think one issue with cinema is that you make it for one operator, and the other one doesn't want the same design often also. So they have their own, distance between two seats. Now that's reduced. Number of operators has reduced. I think in some way, if we can work with them to find a little more flexible model, I think that's something which we should look at, because the structure, the way the multiplexes are built, it's not very easy to convert. While you can convert, it's not very easy to convert. So I think somewhere down the line, the malls and the multiplexes have to get together. One is to see what is the number of screens. Don't overbuild. That's it's like saying, look, I want this size, but eventually what works for you is 5 screens. So I think overbuilding also is an issue. That's something we should be careful of. Other is, I think if we can work with the cinemas to see how we can create a structure which allows some flexibility. So in case they want to increase, like in one of our malls, we are adding screens, by the way. And that's a little strange situation in today's environment. But the height I don't have is 12 meters. So the height available is only 6 meters. So they're doing that, the insignia model, or that, that model, which doesn't need that sort of height then. So I think somewhere down the line, if we can work with the operators to find a very conducive, flexible structure, which will work for both of them. But without that, I think it's quite challenging if you built it for them and with their specs to convert to something else. Breweries and all are easier to bring in larger cities, Harsa. In a smaller city, where do you get a guy who takes this sort of? मैं आपको example बताता हूँ. We made a store in the middle of our atrium with a double height, saying we'll do a flagship store. वो कहता है सर 60 लाख रुपए तो फसाड पे लग जाएगा, मुझे नहीं चाहिए. So you have to be conscious of that. I think the answer is flexibility of structure. The other part, I definitely agree. I think there are many other entertainment formats that can be brought in. And I think that can sort of, in a way, balance out the, footfall or the attraction to the mall. I think that's a very, very valid thing that I think we need to start looking at.
So I will add some more things. First of all, cinema is also changing. So now we are coming up with some cinema where the food is more important. Like you get a seat where you can, like a flight, you get a full table where the seat is, you can put 2-3 dishes. So now it's not cinema with some snacks, it's food with cinema. So food is more important. And cinema operators are also now focusing on SPH, spend per person. So that is around 70% of the food is they're earning. And in content, they earn around only 25 to 30%. So it's time is changing. They are more focusing on the food. Similarly, the size of the cinema is around 10% now. So if you are building a 500,000 square feet of a mall or 1 million square feet of a mall, the cinema should not be more than 10% of the size of the mall. So there are many things you can see which are new version of cinema you can see now.
Thank you.
I think it's the problem is with the actually at this time the cinema industry, I mean, it's struggling because of the OTT. You're getting the same content in probably like a month's time or 20 days time, on your OTT. So a lot of people are more comfortable at home. They can watch anything at whatever time they wish to. So it's basically more of a thing that needs to be corrected from the top itself. Like whoever is making films or whoever is making content needs to have that staggered approach of about say 2 months or 3 months to give it to an OTT platform. Because if you give it in a month's time, nobody's, it's very difficult to get people to the cinema to watch it in 15 days, 10 days time. तो वो तो उतरना ही है, ultimately our content is the main factor where cinemas are going to do well. So that thing I think should be. I mean, of course, we cannot do that, but whoever is in the industry should definitely look at that. Yeah.
I also heard that wants to go for the large movies to cinema halls,
Absolutely.
and the low budget and those movies are doing better on OTT. So
So small Audi will go away. The Audi like IMAX friendly or IMAX equivalent, where you have around 18-20 meter of screen and good size of screen, where the experience is larger than life. People are coming for those type of movies, and the movie like Lapta Ladies or something like that, the small movies which are good contents, but people prefer them watching in the on the home. But if the movie come of a big scale, Yash Raj Films movie or Amir Khan movie, or people like to go to still cinema, but that should be in a big screen. Earlier, 10 years back, there was a race of smaller screens. So now in particular big cities, the bigger screens are now coming.
बट कब तक आमिर खान, सलमान खान और शाहरुख खान एक्ट करते रहेंगे? कभी तो
नहीं आ
रुकेंगे.
जाएंगे. अब डेवलपर तो एक्टिंग करने से रहे.
Aman, my next question is to you. In different periods of time, we've heard different segments do well in retail. Sometimes it's athleisure, sometimes it's food, sometimes it's entertainment, sometimes it's traditional jewelry. Are you seeing any trend post-COVID to now, pre-COVID to now, and anything going forward? If you can just share your experience.
So, honestly, electronics, sir is also sitting here, he would know better. Electronics, food, entertainment, definitely FECs are doing really well. Fashion, to a certain extent, there are, like fast fashion is doing really well. So I think whatever works for you as a developer and as a retailer in a certain mall space, it's better to actually follow that and not basically put your money on things that are slogging. That's what I also feel, that if something is not working, you are emotionally connected to that thing and it used to work at one point in time. Now it's not working. It's time to actually take some action on that. Try to let it go, because that's important for running a mall, because ultimately it's the sales. Whatever footfall you're getting inside your mall, you have to convert it to sales. And if you have to read your customer, you have to analyze them. If they're not willing to take that particular brand or that particular product, you need to shift to the product that they are more interested to, and you can definitely churn. So that's something that I think it's very important.
Any trend?
I will say there are many categories which are doing fantastic after the COVID. Like one, Mr. Sahil was sitting here. The CDIT Karoma, they are doing fantastic number. We did around 100 crore this year from Chroma in one mall. And then beauty is doing very good. F&B is doing extraordinary good. Then athleisure is doing very good. We have increased all the size of the Nike, and you can say Puma, Skechers, Levi's. Every store has been doubled in Vegas Mall, because people are now looking for comfortable, you can say, dresses. Or people are like wearing T-shirt in the office now. Maybe the sports shoes in their work. So the athleisure is doing very good number. Beauty is doing good. There are many categories which are doing good. So the mall should be flexible, and as the category changes, and it's a process. Maybe after 5 years, another line will do good, and something will go away. So some categories are doing very good number after COVID.
Anything that you would like to add?
I think one category which last year has done unbelievably well is weddings, which is something which none of the malls are catering to. I mean, none of us are. I mean, I'm telling you that if you go to Mumbai, Santa Cruz market in Mumbai, they are doing, single store is doing 80 crores, 60 crores annual turnover. And I think somewhere down the line, we have to create that, because it's a big market, big spend, and people don't mind, buying expensive stuff. So I think somewhere down the line, we always go for branded and, national sort of level brands. And I think somewhere we need to be able to attract these guys. I know they have this aversion to CAM and, all this. So, but we have to find a model to get them in. Because if we have to really pump up the trading, I think that's one category which has done phenomenally well. The rest, everybody does well, but that category per se, I think, is just gone through the roof.
500 square feet stores in a Chandni Chowk would do probably 10 crores a month. That's the kind of TD they're doing. So, I mean, of course, people are very comfortable with Chandni Chowk to go for their weddings and stuff like that. to bring that kind of thing to a mall, definitely it's a very good, it's a dream project. Because if you can get that kind of crowd who are spending
They
that,
need to get used to revenue share. I tell you, you don't want the rent also. That's how big they can,
So actually, if the brands are given on pure rent, they will go by themselves if not doing well. You need not to change themselves, right? The developer need not to put efforts to that. Yeah.
So my next question is actually around TD, and Bipin, that's to you. So sometimes malls are built really well, they're fully leased, got all international, national tenants, but still the sales are not there. How does one, increase the sales? How does one check the TD? How does one increase the TD? You're running a few malls. Can you share any experience?
So I'll give you a brilliant experience of Aurangabad, which is a tier 3 city. And we built a close to 1 million square feet mall there. So I think effectively, if you ask me, the day we decided to build a 1 million mall, we were heading for disaster, in all honesty, because the market size is not as big. Forget the catchment, I'm talking the whole city. So I think somewhere down the line, we are averse to research. And I think some amount of research should be done before you decide the size of the mall and the brands you bring in the mall. What happened eventually, we were desperate. We said, Jo aata hai aane do, Jo rent deta hai dene do. It took us 12 years to reach where we are today, and we're at about close to 90% occupancy in a tier 2, with a lot of changes, churn. I think it starts from the day you decide what size of mall and who's your catchment and what you should bring. Because it's not something you build this infrastructure, it is with you forever. So I think that's where it starts. Eventually, I think trading, you have to keep doing, the rounds of what's working and try and see if you can get more of what's working. But oversizing it, building bigger than what the market size is, not doing enough homework, I think is the first wrong step which we've taken, and we've struggled. It took our company 5 years behind, 10 years back, to now where we feel now we're comfortable. But I think that's one of the key things to look after, and then you can keep building.
But what did you do to bring
So
it
I'll
back?
tell you,
Yeah.
we had to really offer a lot of sops for the retailers. We have gone to the extent for 2 years, we had three buses that used to ply to various, residential complexes, and we had timings from which you could sit and come, and 100 rupee voucher. So we spent a lot of money over the years. And slowly, I think we managed to reach a stage where the city grew itself. Let me put it this way: we didn't really do too much. The city also grew itself, to accommodate such a size of the mall. So either you have very, very patient money, which we had because we had some foreign investors. Otherwise, it's very difficult for people to sustain.
Any other experience?
I like to also add some few things. The mall is not only about, you can say, good construction, good design, and good leasing. Mall is something more also. You should have good zoning, good mix of design. Then operation is also very important. How do you operate it? How do you manage it? How is your loyalty program is doing? How are you celebrating your festivals? How are you can say doing you can say all the different activities and all. So it's not about leasing and you can say the size and design. There are many other aspects also, and it's a regular activity. It's a day-to-day activity. Like every day you have to think something new to attract people to your mall.
It's like running a hotel.
I agree with him. I think that's my ex CEO of our partners in the UK used to always say this is the only living retail asset. You live every day, So I agree with him on that. Yes.
My next question is to you. You are in the technology part of retail business. How do you see the digitization of retail, of malls, and what's the future?
Hello. Good evening, everybody. The only way today, if you see, the biggest challenge in most of the retail ecosystem is there is no engagement with the customers. The number one aspect that really matters to increase your TD for every retail brand is how you can engage with your customers, how you can do personalization, and how you can transform the whole mall into a marketplace, wherein you can digitally extend the fulfillment of order of the merchandise from the mall, every store becoming the fulfillment point, So these are certain very strong elements which will help the overall trading density and the revenue to grow to a large extent, which is a void today. It doesn't exist. Retailers work in silos, and the mall does not have a touch point with its customers. While it love to know who their customers are and gratify them personalized in a personalized way. So technology is now ready to serve the fraternity with those levels of detailing. How you can help a retailer grow his business beyond the footfall. So if you look at the social media handles that you have, you may have 100,000 follow fans for a mall, but you do not know who are the spenders. So who matters to most to the mall is the people who spend and how do you take care of them, how to create the stickiness. So technology is now ready to bring about these voids. Now, one important category which Bipin mentioned was wedding as a category. I just cite this as an example. So how can we capitalize that as a concept in a mall to gratify and to create attractive campaigns to have the wedding shopping with a collaborative model? Say there is a apparel, there's an ethnic wear, there is a home wear. Like they can form a coalition for that particular category and service a group of customers whom we are missing right now from the mall. So that's just an example of what level we can go up to see all this detailing, how we can build the growth of every retail.
The only other question is, are retailers ready to share their data? Because that's the most important thing.
Now it is all collaborative, so there's nobody owns the data itself. The retail himself is the consumer himself is the owner of his data, and he is willing to share his credentials, his behavior in return for getting something for himself. And even if the data that what retailer has, the progress that each of them have made is only between what each retailer has done within the brand. They don't probably know what percentage of the spend in that category he's spending with the brand. So today, if I know somebody is spending X amount of money with me, and if I know that he's only doing 5% of the overall spend in the category, then there's a wallet size available for you to expand in that spend. How do you get that? So only with a collaborative approach, wherein you can understand the behavior of each customers. That's the only way you can reach out. So it is shifting. So the mindset is shifting.
Work in progress.
Of course.
Any experience?
I think absolutely right. And now the brands are very happily share the data unless until it is misused.
Yes.
So if you are misusing the data, nobody will share with you. But mall is also ready to share data with the brand, and brand is also ready to share data with and thanks to Pathfinder and this type of, you can say, technology, which you can say patch system is there. Everything is pulled out or pushed out to your system every day. So data is very important, and retailers and mall developers both are sharing to each other.
Anybody else? You're all using technology, and is there anything else that you're doing technology for the future?
Of course, technology will play not only with the, you can say, data in every field. Now the footfall will be counted through technology. The maintenance will be helpful in technology. Everything, the technology, the AI will, in the next 5 years, AI will reduce lots of manpower, lots of smart working, lots of, you can say, good management and control. It's a time that now this technology will help a lot in managing the malls.
Then
Absolutely.
okay.
I also believe that the entire camp, and obviously sir also touched upon a very important point that you need to know your spenders, because you get a huge footfall every day or on a weekend, and ultimately that translation to sales is not that much. Probably it would translate to about 30%, 40%, 50%. Very good cases, 50 to 60% in any way. Like either it's entertainment, food, fashion, whatever it is. So that spender needs to be actually pointed out. Who is that? How do you attract that spender? So that is one of the very big angles. And of course, then in terms of functioning operationally, technology can work wonders. We feel that that entire billing process or that entire process of vendor management of anything, AI can do in a much better way than humans, because you may lose, you may do some mistakes as humans, like in terms of your manpower could do some mistakes, but AI wouldn't do that. Or they would point out the mistakes that they're doing. So ultimately, going forward, it's really going to work well for the entire industry or anywhere. I mean, any industry, I would say. Billing is a very menial job ultimately. I would not like to but then if you can be, it can be done through software and can be done itself, and then whatever there can be reminders, those kind of reminders which are sent, physically, they can be sent through software. Everything can be done. If it's not working, and it's technically, there is a policy of the company that after 2 months, if the retailer is not paying, you switch off the electricity. I don't know if that can happen or not, but it should be automated.
I just like to add one more point here. Moving forward, the future, the way it looks like is every shopper will have his own personal AI. Every brand will have their own business AI. The mall will have their own mall AI. So which means much of the decision making, much of the recommendations, much of the choices, and much of what benefit the shopper would get is all going to be controlled using AI as a tech. And that is going to create openness and transparency in the way retailers compete with each other. The only thing that is going to matter is the experience what a shopper would get. So which is where the malls will play a role in the kind of ecosystem that they would build to create those memorable experiences for the shoppers. That's the only differentiator, and AI is going to play a major role in exposing these elements to the shopper.
Thank you. The last question for the evening is a bit of a contentious issue between retailers and developers. It's scam. So, how do we manage scam? How can we are there ways to reduce scam, manage it effectively, or is high street a solution, non-air-conditioned malls? I'm asking a question. Is there a way to manage scam in air-conditioned malls also? This is for everybody because all of us are facing the same issue.
No, I will say high street is not an answer to a scam. The mall should be successful is the better way instead of going to the high street mall. Now there are many ways. Like first of all, you should use all the equipments, very efficient equipments. Like when you select the chiller plant, air conditioning plant, lighting, escalators, elevators, please focus on your electricity consumption and the AMC also. So like in our company, when we place an order for a escalator, we first negotiate the AMC. We first negotiate the other cost. So if you smartly negotiate the AMC, and you can say you wisely select the equipment which are energy efficient, it's true that the capex will be little higher, but OPEX will be certainly low. So first of all, you have to select all the equipments very smartly. Secondly, the utilization of the infrastructure is also very important. Now, everybody is aware that malls are working mostly on Saturday and Sunday. The footfall is 50% on Monday to Friday instead of Saturday, Sunday. So the infrastructure is created for Saturday and Sunday, but 50% of the infrastructure is lying idle on Monday to Friday. So you have to use that infrastructure smartly also. Like I was discussing earlier, you can add some office space which are working Monday to Friday. Those Monday to Friday office space can use your infrastructure on, you can say, on those weekdays. So there are many ways to reduce scam, energy efficient equipments, good technology, good equipments. So instead of putting, you can say, saving the capex can be spent more, and infrastructure can be utilized in a better way. So CAM can be controlled. But if mall is doing good job, good, we can say TD, the CAM is a small part of that. So nobody goes to high street instead of in terms of saving the CAM. Everybody comes to mall to have better business, better experience even. Sometimes you are doing maybe better business in the high street, but mall, the customer experience is entirely different. You have different experience. So if the mall is doing good, CAM is not a big issue.
So I believe that high street is not a substitution to a mall. High street has its own benefits, has its own set of demographics and the customers, as we spoke earlier. And mall, depending upon the scale, depending upon the location, demographics, has its own customers, right? Yeah, as far as the CAM is concerned, every developer should be quite cautious in in managing the CAM, I should say. Managing means that you can optimize the equipments you have installed by doing preventive maintenance, by using solar energies, by using, yes, as Harji said that, yes, CapEx might be a little, bigger in amount, but I think OPEX is very important to be managed because it is for a longer run of time, and that is directly being paid by the occupants, which are very much concerned about the OPEX. And yes, I think we can use sensors in common areas, in toilets, so that when it is not in use, so you can save onto the energies. So BMS is one of the equipments, you can say that, which can be used to manage air conditioning, right? So that optimal temperature, optimum chilled water is supplied in the relevant areas. Where more is required, so more is passed on. Where less is required, so less is passed on. So that optimizes your energy cost. Energy is a big cost in big component in the overall CAM computation. And as far as the manpower is concerned, so yes, the properties which have cinemas, so or food courts, generally malls have. So a designated area can be given for exit, in the malls for the late night shows, and you need not to keep all the exits open, so that you can save on to the manpower cost and the energy cost in those areas. So if I think all these aspects are taken into account, so you can optimally, reduce your CAM in the benefit of the operators.
Thank you. Bipin?
No. I think both of them have covered everything that was possibly to be covered. I just feel that a good design in terms of how you plan your ingress, egress from late night venues. I think all these are aspects of how you can optimize CAM. Equipment is a big component. And I think overall, there are some things which are in your control, some are out of control. I mean, for example, I'll give you insurance. I don't know how many of you have faced. It's just gone through the roof to insure your building now. So there are some controllables, some non-controllables. I think eventually it boils down to numbers. If you are doing well, I think CAM becomes a smaller part of the overall, outflow. So
what I'm hearing is that if the business is good and the TD is good, CAM is not so important. Of course, we have to find ways to control our costs, but the main thing is how the business is doing in the mall. I think we've run out of time. I've been getting a lot of handshakes from that side. So thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for
Thank you
an
so
amazing.
much. It
Thank
has
you,
been
Uddhav.
an
Thank you so
excellent
much.
session,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
you
great
moderated
session.